Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 3rd of March, comes to you from London. And we've got a lot of green on the screen today, so that's good news. So we'll take a look through the markets. We'll then take a look at energy. And last of all, we'll take a look just at the latest coronavirus statistics. This data all coming to all Updata users now from our World and Data. So it's a great database that pulls this data in. So great if you want to explore those statistics. So we start by looking at the dollar. It's falling a little bit this morning, but short-term bullish, still holding on. The long-term chart's still bearish. It may be that there's a bottom forming on the dollar, though. That January low is the key. We've got this level in February. If we hold that level of 90 on the dollar index, not far below where we are, if we hold the level that we saw last week, that is starting to look like the higher low. So, but quite possible that we're entering a benign period. Having had a big fall in the dollar, we're entering a benign period for the currency. And that's significant. If we see the dollar in a benign phase, that's just one thing taken away from us worrying about it in markets. The euro is flat at around 121 this morning, and again, we may well be seeing that dollar euro entering a benign phase as well. Notice how this phase that we saw last year lasted for several months, and we may well see the same again this year. But we've had a big move. And can we see that move continuing? We need to see new highs or lows to be sure of that. Sterling sitting at 139.81, having another go at the 140 level. The sterling's appreciation is looking like it has more upside potential, 150, and we've got targets into the mid 140s, so that's quite significant. And against the euro, we're sitting at 115.50, holding the gains there as well. Taking a look at Bitcoin, back above the $50,000 mark, so it's having another push higher. We do have a downside target, but as we push higher, that target of 107 is still very much in play. We saw the S&P 500 index down last night. There's a lot of volatility in the US market, and tech stocks, the Nasdaq, still bearish below the clouds, so we are still seeing a weakness generally in tech stocks. We do have the futures up 0.6% this morning for the S&P, and the Nasdaq future is up 0.7%. Remembering this is my long-term, medium-term and short-term view of the market with a corresponding point and figure charts. The VIX volatility is down 5% this morning, so we are just seeing the market a bit more cheery and less fearful than it was over the last previous session, so it's just looking better really. And we've got the FTSE 100 index at 1%. This is the future. Of course, the UK budget today, and we're seeing better and better numbers coming through, which we'll look at on the coronavirus stats. So that's starting to have a little bit of an impact on positivity for the UK market. Looking at the DAX, we're up 0.9% here, so again looking strong, and the CAC Quarante also up quite sharply, showing really now that we're starting to make a push for new highs. We're seeing levels now that we haven't seen since February last year, so we're just pushing to break that peak. Of course, the DAX has already done that. Japan was up 0.5%, so looking stronger there, and the Hang Seng really rocketing up 2.7%, so pushing higher there as well. Not enough to take us bullish yet, but we are seeing signs that we've got a little short-term double bottom there. And Chinese market still looking very strong, up 2%, and the Indian market up 2.4%. Just pushing ever higher. So India looking strong. We've got big upside potential here in India with big upside targets. So keep an eye on that if you're looking at any funds in that area. The Aussie market up 0.8%, not yet making a new high, similar to the CAC really, but starting to wander into bullish territory on the long-term chart. So looking better there. Gold is still in the doldrums, down to 1727, not good. The risk on trade is effectively off, if you like, at the moment, and we do have these downside targets here. So medium term gold is looking now more bearish. The long term chart is still holding on to bullish. Silver is also down this morning, but looking better than gold, still holding on to its medium-term uptrend. US 10-year yields having stabilized in the low 140s, starting to find support on that 140 level, looking to push higher, so that's quite key. We do have multiple downside targets still, so we might see as we've broken into that bearish territory, but the long-term picture is one of transition for bond yields. That's the 10-year yield, the 30-year bond sitting at 2.24%. This has fared better than the shorter dated bond, and we are just seeing again this clear transition to bullish there, so that's quite significant. Taking a look at the energy mix, we've got Brent crude up 1.6% this morning. Quite a lot of volatility just in the chart recently, but it does look like this trend is starting to run out of steam for crude oil. That will be key to watch. Keep an eye on that for the coming days, and we are seeing these short-term downside targets just coming into play now. We've got US nat gas, we're sitting at 286, so we've really struggled to just break higher, really on the floor there. So for nat gas, so that's quite key. Coal, we were bullish this week, but we are down this morning 0.2%, so that's significant. We are just seeing the trend is still pretty good there. Long term, we're short of targets on coal. I did a LinkedIn post on that yesterday, but the short term targets to 72, that's looking quite likely. We're sitting at 69.75, so another couple of dollars upside potential there. Emissions are down quite sharply this morning. We've just put out a report on emissions for targets for the year, some very big upside targets. So if you're a client, you will get, if an energy client, you will get that report this morning. So looking very strong there on the emissions market. Gas, we've been pretty bearish. We're in the seasonal period now where gas is falling, so we're pretty bearish there on NBP. TTF, we've said we need to hold above 17 euros to stay bullish. We're bearish, so the gas is certainly playing out there, and the seasonal contract we're also seeing bearish as well, so that's significant. And looking at German power, we're also seeing the market just steady at the moment. We're very much in this range between 51 and 53.50, and have been in that range now for a good couple of weeks. So breaking that range will be key. We've got targets in both directions. A pretty difficult call right now. Looking at Nordic Power, not looking as strong here. We're bearish on that short-term chart. Downside targets that were given and met, so that's significant. We do have an upside target to 28.30, which is activated. This new downside target to 20 euros, not yet activated. We'd need new lows to do that, so keep an eye on that. I mentioned that we'd take a look at the COVID stats. So this is comparing UK, Germany, light blue is France, and green is the US. France's new cases still staying stubbornly high. And we're seeing that the US and the UK cases falling. Germany also fairly flat. Where we're seeing it is in the deaths. The death rate in the UK really plummeting. This has got to really be vaccine effect now. We're seeing how sharply that's falling. Again, the other three nations not falling as sharply. Hospitalizations in France rising slightly, so that's a real worry. We're a bit late on German data there, but we're also seeing the UK and the US really falling away sharply. And then, of course, the vaccine rate up to 31% in the UK, 22% in the US, and still sitting around 6 or 7% in France and Germany, really lagging behind. So they've got to rely on restrictions there, whereas the UK and the US will start to rely on vaccination rates helping the wider case. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, keep an eye on that UK budget today. Have a great day today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.